Well, speaking of great music, let's transition over to talking about Wham. And all right, so
We're talking about Wham.
yes, we will. Moving on. Now we are going to be talking full spoiler mode into Marvel's Moon Knight, Episode 1, starring Oscar Isaac, Ethan Hawke. That's pretty much it right now, right?
I mean, for the most part, we have Ephraim Ray Abraham playing the
Thank
voice.
you. I was trying to remember the name.
Khonshu?
You got it right, yeah.
Okay, I got it right.
The Egyptian moon deity. Yeah. Directed by Mohammed Diab. Did I get that one right? I think so.
Sure, I don't know.
I think so. Anyways,
I should have the cast list pulled up. I don't have
it. For both of us and for the channel as a whole, Moon Knight has been highly anticipated. Probably mostly by our channel expert, Allison Salamoni, who has taught me everything I know about Moon Knight. She is just obsessed and has been following the character for decades. So it's really, really disheartening that we don't have her on the show tonight to discuss her thoughts. But
in fact, everyone watching, if we can, go to Twitter while you're watching. Tweet at Allison Salamoni. It's her name. You'll look her up. I'm sure you might be following her. And just tell her that you're excited to hear her teachings and her wise wisdom when it comes to Moon Knight. Maybe put in like the Doctor Strange gift where he's like, teach me. When he's talking to the sorcerers. Do that. Absolutely. And let's let her know that we're thinking about her, because she's probably sleeping because she's 3 hours ahead of us right now.
I would love for her to wake up and be like, what? Why?
What?
For why?
Why did 20 people tweet me?
Well, I have watched this episode twice, but not as recently as you have watched it a second time.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't talked about it a whole lot. I feel like I've talked with several people about it, but we haven't had the opportunity to. Again, if you guys didn't know already, we are going into spoilers. If you haven't seen it yet, please come back and revisit. We will also be posting this as a separate video, but we're going to spend probably at least 15 minutes discussing this pilot episode and if it hooked us, if we're engaged, what we look forward to seeing. Sean, what are some of your first thoughts coming out of this episode? Where does it rank among? Because some people are like, oh, best Marvel show of all time. I'm like, relax. Where does it rank on the episode ones? I think that's a fair comparison. I like comparing pilots.
Telling people to relax might be underrated because, like, hey, we've had 42 minutes of this guy. Let's calm down for a second. Yeah. Now, that being said, it might be my favorite. It might be my favorite of the Marvel Disney Plus shows that have come out. Episode ones, right? The introduction to the character and the intrigue, because I'm not usually a horror guy. We've talked about this before. We did a review of what was it, House on Haunting Hill, or what was the one you did with Video Drew? And I was Midnight Mass. I was sitting here the whole time.
Sean, wait, pause. Can you get around to watching Midnight Mass, please?
No, absolutely. I have so many other things to watch right now. But I'm not usually a horror guy. I don't gravitate towards those types of movies. The creepiness of this and the horror aspects, because they were mild, it wasn't like super scary. I wouldn't mind showing it to my kid. I dug it. It gave such a
it's creepy in the way that Supernatural is creepy. Like, I wouldn't call it Supernatural.
Yeah, and I dug Supernatural.
A horror show. Like, it's creepy, but it's not like horrific, I don't think. Mm-hmm. And I think it had some elements of that with a little bit more of a budget.
Yeah, I agree. It was intrigue. It was mystery more than creepiness and scariness. It kept me on my toes, and I had no idea because I don't have the experience with the character Moon Knight. Reef is Mask. Reef is Mask. What was our introduction? This was my introduction. This was it. Other than Jesse and Allison just like hammering the backstory into me over the past
Moon Knight. I'm not going to like play face and say that I am an expert at all things Moon Knight. I used to listen to John Schnepp on the Collider Movie Talk, Collider Heroes stuff, talk about Moon Knight.
Shout out to the Big Sweaty.
Big Sweaty, rest in peace, man. And Moon Knight was a character that visually always appealed to me. And yeah, people are like, it's Marvel's ripoff Batman, which I think people can now start putting a squash on that argument because he's definitely a very different character.
Very, and we haven't really met Mark yet, but
right.
yes, meeting Steven, very different character, and that's all I had ever heard was Marvel's Batman because he's dark and he jumps rooftops at night. But yeah, continue.
I used to play a game called Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2, and Moon Knight was in it. And even though I knew nothing about Moon Knight, I played as him all the time because he was super badass, and I just thought he was a really cool character. And obviously, because Moon Knight was announced, so many videos started popping up exploring his origins and stuff like that. So I have become much more well-informed about Moon Knight in the last 12 months. I think he's fascinating, and there's several different depictions of him, and the show seems to be an amalgamation of a lot of different ones. When he first burst onto the page in Werewolf by Night, he was definitely intentionally kind of a Batman ripoff. Right. And then, much like what happens with a lot of characters, he was expanded upon, and new origins came out, new power set, and things like that. And I like exploring the mental aspects, like not only the mental illness, but the fact of like, is Khonshu real? Is this deity real? Does Moon Knight actually have powers, or what's in his head, what's not? And I think that's a lot of fun and something to explore, and something we've never seen really in comic book material. And I liken this first episode to my favorite pilot episode so far, which is actually WandaVision. I was on board with WandaVision quicker than most people were, I think, right away, because the questions that it asked. And Loki had some of those too. Loki had, I think, a pretty strong episode 1. But for me right now, I think I'm tempted to put Moon Knight above WandaVision, but it's hard because WandaVision gave us 2 episodes at a time, right? And so to me, those 2 episodes were the pilot.
Sure.
So if we're going 1 versus 2, I say WandaVision. If we're only doing the first 30 minutes of WandaVision and Moon Knight, I'll go Moon Knight. So that's my, excuse there. But I like having this many questions and seeing a mystery unfold. And I think this mystery is more interesting than the one we've gotten in Loki or Falcon Winter Soldier. I do like that it doesn't seem like there's a curtain to be pulled, though. And we have Arthur Harrow and Ethan Hawke right off the bat, and we're getting to learn about him. They had a lot of ground to cover because this is not Wanda. This is not Loki. This is not a character we've had time with. So we had to be introduced to them, hint at their past, hint at the villain. It had to do a lot, and I think it did it all very well. And I'm prepped and amped for episode 2.
And they had the task of making a villain out of, and this is what I'm gathering from other reviews, a villain that wasn't really a villain, other than an issue, like a single issue of the comic. This guy he studied pain tolerance, and he was a fan of the Nazis. Like, that's essentially what I gathered from other reviews, where Arthur Harrow is not a big force. He's not like he's not Moon Knight's main nemesis, right? He's arch nemesis throughout the series. He has other villains, and not a huge rogues gallery, but other villains that he deals with.
His most well-known villain, I believe, I don't think I have it quite right. It's like Bushman or something.
Bushman. That's what I've heard.
Yeah, and Bushman. There was too many comparisons to the Killmonger character, and I think especially the Michael B. Jordan version of Killmonger. And from what I've learned of the character, I think that is true and fair, that they wanted to go a different direction. And even though Arthur Harrow does originate from the comics, for all intents and purposes, he's a new character. Like, they really have taken nothing but his name from the comic.
Was Bushman the same guy that was in Luke Cage? What was that?
Bushmaster, I think.
Bushmaster, right? Okay. I was getting those confused. I thought they were the same person. I was way off.
Which is Luke Cage season 2. Yeah. So, anyways, that's my long-winded. I think the original question was like, what was your introduction to Moon Knight? Blah blah blah. John Schnepp, something. Learned a bunch. Really liking it so far. I have heard from some of the people that have watched the first 4 episodes that there is an inclination of a possible drop-off in quality. I'm hoping that's not true. I'm going to judge it on its own merits and what I think about it, because it absolutely has me. And I think the Marvel shows haven't been home run after home run. I loved WandaVision. I really liked Loki. Falcon Winter Soldier let me down in like the second half of the season. What If is very sporadic as far as its highs and lows. So yeah, it's been a bit all over the place. So if we could have another one that I even end up really liking, I will be happy. And I think at the end of the day, getting Oscar Isaac and Stephen Grant and Mark Spector introduced into the MCU is already a big win. And I can't wait to see where they take the character next.
What I was hearing from shout out to Monty at the Montyverse, Jake Lachlan, I believe, is his other possible.
Lockley. He was a cabbie when he was originally, and this was before they did the dissociative identity disorder, and he chose 3 identities. Like he has a Stephen Grant identity, and it's like he's 3 different kinds of being undercover. And later on down the road, these identities that he created became actual, like, self-sustaining separate identities when they started getting into the mental illness aspect. Sorry, go ahead. Hawkeye. Yeah. I knew I was forgetting a show, and it was Hawkeye, because Hawkeye is so damn forgettable. It is. I got nothing.
Yeah. Well, let's get in. What about the episode itself, like the actual content of the episode, much less the character? Well, so we see him.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just saying we meet him, and obviously from jump, like I wasn't sure if he knew he was dissociating, or if he just thought like, oh, I'm sleepwalking, because he's strapping himself to his bed. He has a sand crescent moon, it looks like, around his bed, and tape on his door, right? He's doing all these precautions to make sure he knows whether he got up in the middle of the night, and hopefully what he did. Maybe setting up a camera would be a good idea. It might, lead to some revelations, but apparently he didn't decide to
on
do
a
that.
gift shop employee's budget. He can afford a prime steak, but not.
He does have that razor flip phone hidden in his cupboard. So maybe this is set in the mid 2000s. I don't know. This is set in 2009. So I wasn't sure if we were jumping right into him knowing about kind of what's going on, or if we're going to find out alongside with him. And apparently we're finding out alongside with him, because, he goes to work. He's obviously very timid, shy. He's getting pushed around by his boss, by, the security guard, who's just laissez-faire about like life. And then even the little girl just like dogging on him. She's like, oh, did it hurt when you got denied into the afterlife?
What's a trip for me is my wife is currently like marathoning the Night at the Museum movies. So to go from Night at the Museum to Stephen Grant working at the museum, I was like, ooh, crossover.
Do you have Rami Malek playing Imhotep or someone, or the pharaoh?
Wrong Egyptian person, but I mean close enough. Yeah, Anox in the moon. Anox in the... Nope, I don't know.
Anox in the moon.
Exactly. I enjoyed his coworker, boss person, Donna. I love anything to do with mythology, whether it's Greek, Roman, Norse, Egyptian. You cannot give me enough god lore. I love that stuff. So hearing about Amet, which I really like, when we get the flash of Stephen Grant waking up in what I assume to be like the Alps or something, and it
looked like Switzerland or something.
Yeah, and he sees Arthur Harrow like judge the 2 people with the tattoo and the alligator scales. Which, by the way, please give me a Later Gators shirt with Stephen Grant on it, or Steak Time.
Can we point out like the people in the crowd, like, hey, did Arthur just killed a guy? Like, she's dead. Like, she just got drained of her life force. Right.
With the way they treat him, I'm thinking this is a daily occurrence.
Yeah. Right. No, she wasn't worthy. I don't know what to say. I guess there's another one. Toss her back.
Yeah, and I did like the callback to that scene when he tries doing it to Steven, and the scales just keep tipping because it's chaotic. He's got so many different things happening in there. It's hard to judge. What were some of the highlights for you? I mean, I love the car chase and it going in and out of perspectives, or I guess not really perspectives. It's always Steven's perspective because we miss the Mark half.
I liked F. Murray Abraham as Khonshu coming in and just ragging on him. I'm like, uh-oh, I'm nuts is back.
Go back to sleep, worm.
Go back to sleep, worm.
Quick, we do have a Streamlab from our good friend Kubishinkin Anatoly tipped in $5. And if you guys don't know, that is a beautiful running joke that I will never tire of. The night is not moon, where Allison is. Moonfall did not set up show. I 100% agree. Thank you so much for your donation.
I was just saying, I like that it gave me Venom vibes, because that's just the most recent thing I think where we're seeing this, conscious, I guess, for lack of a better word, over speaking our main character. But it was the best parts of that vibe from Venom. They were pulling it off in a much better deal,
So,
but
do you
much
know
better way.
my favorite Easter egg that I found out? Not a lot of people are talking about this. Did you see that in that final scene where we have Moon Knight beating the shit out of a jackal, which I took personally? You can actually see the brand of boots that he's wearing.
No, it didn't.
Yeah,
It definitely didn't say that.
they're con shoes.
Oh, really? Okay.
I'm kidding. Con shoes.
Oh,
All right.
okay.
Anyways,
I thought you could see the stitching or something.
no, I was trying to make a good joke. Anyways, April Fools, please don't unsubscribe.
Speaking of which, I did let me find it. Boom.
He'll
I
get
stayed
there.
up. I don't know if I'm gonna do it again, but I did stay up. Go back and watch my live reaction. I sat there, I watched it. There was a timer on screen, so if you want to rewatch the episode, watch it with me. Just sync up. It's easy to do. I was exhausted the next day and I couldn't sleep that night. Maybe I had too much Monster or something on the way
So
to
currently,
that
that
watch along.
watch along is sitting at 85 views, which is very awesome. I would say if you guys can, even if you just pop on there for a few minutes, if everybody watching and you guys can share that link and stuff, if we can get that over 100, not only will Sean stay up to do episode 2 watch along, I just might pop in and let's see if we can get over 100 again after that. So about 15 more views on that one. Double it. Hashtag double it.
I thought you were just signing me up for this, and I was like, I'll try, man. I'll try if I can. I don't know if I can do it.
Anyway, so thank you guys for that have already been joining us. And if you haven't hit the like button already, please do that. Any last thoughts about this first episode and things that you liked? If you guys in the chat, feel free to tag in with whatever stood out to you. I love the accent. I know some people are dogging on it, but
I think that we are going to find out that Mark, the postcards, right? He has postcards all over his apartment, and other people pointed this out. These are not my ideas. I'm stealing other people's ideas, but I'm gonna admit it. He has postcards in his apartment, and he's leaving voicemails for his mom, who obviously doesn't want to answer the phone. I don't think either of those things.
Somebody was like, who is he talking to when he's talking to his mom? It's like, it's voicemails. He's not talking to anybody. I don't know who he's calling, but
right. I think that could be like Mark's way of setting up so that he can still keep tabs on Steven and figure out what he's been doing throughout the day.
Mark has much more of a hold of what's going on with Steven than vice versa.
Exactly. So I think that will be, and I think
cracks open and I get 2 cats in here.
I think we're going to find out that Mark has been using Steven as a cover of sorts to maybe try to find out more about the scarab that obviously Arthur Harrow is after. And maybe he's like, oh, I need to get a job. What better at a museum where I can learn about this thing, where I can get close to it. Maybe he was trying to steal it, etc. And he is going to be like, oh yeah, no, that's a fake accent. Like I just made that up. And everyone's been bitching about this English accent. Oh, it sounds so bad. Well, yeah, because he's not an English person.
Right. It would be like if we had an English identity.
Yeah.
But we did not spend our lives in English, so our
cheerio,
accent,
mate.
Yeah, our accent would be
Maddie, ask me
our attempt at, let's go back to Schmodown auditions when I tried to poke fun at a friend of the show, David Campbell, and throw a Scottish Irish or Scottish accent in there for a couple seconds. It's offensive. It's not good.
It's just not. It's just no good, and no one will ever see that video. Yeah. Or is it still posted in the Facebook group?
It's. I'm not going to tell people where they can find it. Did you guys like Moon Knight? Where's it ranking for your episode 1s of the MCU shows? looking forward to the next episode. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I want to see more Conchu. I know that did you say Bryant Brawler is Preston? Did I get that right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Said I really appreciate the design of Conchu. I do as well. And some people are complaining about the CGI. I think the CGI is mostly good. It's not always good, but it's mostly good.
It's not perfect all the time. I thought it was just fine. It was good enough.
All right. Well, then I guess we are moving on now from Moon Knight. So I hope you guys enjoyed that, and we will be cutting this out and posting it separately. Thank you so much for being a part of
Yeah.
our Moon Knight review, guys.